Facebook Live will bring them into. So there we go. All right, ready to rock and roll. Again, we're on all platforms now. Welcome in 1 Million Cups. Again, WGLB AM 1230, 104.7 FM on the radio. Also the TuneIn app on video, jedtv.com, Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, your Jed TV app as well. Facebook Live. Welcome in here. And, of course, as I mentioned, 1 Million Cups, which basically every other Wednesday we come here to the Strachan Van Til Studios on Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond, Indiana, the CMEC building where entrepreneurs come together and like-minded people. And I get the panel coming in on Zoom now, all the panels joining in. Let's say hello to the panel here for a second as they all come in there. Let's put that down. There you go. Hey, panel, how's it going? They're waving right now to us. So we'll talk to the panel here very shortly. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. So they'll be here. We'll check in back with them here soon enough. But we got a lot of business to get to today. It's going to be a big show on 1 Million Cups this week. We've got a few different guests live here in the studio as well as zooming in with the magic of Zoom. But let's start with the in-studio guest first up here. We're going to talk to Drucilla Williams first. Drew, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good to hear from you, Drew. Good to finally meet you. I know we met on Zoom before, but it's good to meet you here in person.
Yes.
And now, Drew, you're kind of leading the charge here this year because, of course, 1 Million Cups every other Wednesday, but it's all leading up to the Big Sell here just in a couple of short months. Of course, the Big Sell, we'll link some information here into Facebook soon enough after the show. I got some links that you could check if you're more curious about it. But, Drew, if people don't know what the Big Sell is all about, I know you have a big part in it this year. Tell the folks at home right now.
So the Big Sell is something that Purdue University Northwest puts on. This is actually the 10th anniversary this year. It's hosted by NIPSCO. So we just give entrepreneurs the chance to participate and pitch their business idea or any product invention, and we have a chance to win some good prizes this year. First place is $10,000. Runner-up is runner-up is $5,000, and then $2,500 to third place winner. So we're trying to get everyone to just put the word out about the PNW Big Sell and participate this year. Now
again, you're putting it all together with your class. What has it been like so far, the experience of, putting this event together? How's it been going?
It's definitely a new experience for me. It's getting me just some background in marketing, which is my major. And it's good just meeting new people, meeting entrepreneurs got inspired to be one day. So it's really good and just a good experience for me.
And that's a great prize right there. It's free to enter, correct? So it's free to enter. You have a chance of winning a grand prize of $10,000. That's not bad at all, and second and third prize too. So even if you're out there, let's say there's somebody listening right now and be like, boy, that sounds neat. I kind of have this thing in the back of my mind that I want to get out there to the public, this invention, this creation that I have. They should probably look into doing it with you.
Yes. Actually, all it will take to enter is to submit a 2-minute submission video, pitching your idea, and then from there, the 12 finalists will be selected.
What's been the hardest part about getting this thing together? Any things that you didn't think was going to be a snag that ended up being a snag?
Doing it virtual, that's why I opted to come in. It's just a better experience in person, face-to-face, interacting. I prefer that. Being home and virtual doing it, I get distracted.
Yeah.
So it's a better experience to be in person.
And the class, what's the name of the class again that's doing this?
It's Social Entrepreneurship 401.
All right. Well, that's the place you want to be to get this together. Well, Drew, I'm sure the panel might have some more questions for you later on down the line here towards the end of the show. But one person that knows a great deal about the Big Sell and winning the Big Sell is in the studio as well, of course. Troy Carpenter. Troy, how's it going?
Great, Tony. Troy Smith.
Troy Smith. I'm sorry. I got the other Troy mixed up.
Make sure my pieces is working. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know about the Big Sell. I've done it 3 times. I've gotten second place and first place the last time I did it. So it's definitely great to win some money, but it's a lot of great experience just doing it. What you have to go through to prepare and think about if you want to be competitive about your business, your invention, your idea. What is your market size? There's certain different things. It forces you to analyze it better if you want to be competitive. So that's a very beneficial thing that helps you, as is planning a pitch and getting up and speaking and having the courage to do that, because you have to pitch your product when you go sell it in the real world anyway.
Of course. And let's tell a little people about, you're not on the spotlight here. You don't have to do a pitch here.
Yeah.
But tell the folks a little bit about your product and what you won with.
The layman bench. Yeah. Well, back in the 1960s, Vince Garanda in Southern California, he invented something called the preacher bench, where it's a platform that you put your arms on to stabilize the fulcrum to increase the efficacy for biceps curling. And if you look in high schools and colleges and gyms around the world, most strength training facilities that have machines to train muscles, they have one or two preacher benches till this day. So the layman bench is in essence is a preacher bench for triceps, and it also doubles as a preacher bench in the same footprint area. So the beauty is that even though we have all these awesome machines to train biceps and triceps, if you go into gyms, till this day you could go into gyms, you see people, they still incorporate free weights using dumbbells and barbells, but there's been no tool to increase the efficacy for triceps free weight training, and that's where the layman bench comes in. I've kind of held hands with Purdue, and they've a lot of resources here to help me out, and done customer discovery research, both formal and informal, and have gotten great results. People love the layman bench. And so, yeah, it's exciting. We're pretty much ready to launch. We're putting on the final touches with the fabrication shop out in Naperville, Illinois. And, yeah.
Well, I remember when you first came in here a couple years ago, it was basically made out of wood and everything.
I call that one my Fred Flintstone model, and Mont Hanley of CMAC Commercialization Manufacturing Excellence Center here, that's been so instrumental in helping. He said, oh, no. You have to speak the language of investors. It's your conceptual prototype.
Of course.
Said, okay. So it's my Fred Flintstone conceptual prototype.
and to be clear, you had a good luck a couple years back to back. You won first place and you won second place.
Yes, and I also went to Muncie. There's a pitch competition down there, and I got fourth place there. So
wow.
A combination, I've won $15,000 with there's no equity given. That's just do what you want to further your endeavor. One of the judges, person I'm a big fan of, I don't know if he's on the panel, Scott Macy with GrowPod. He gave me a lot of good advice, and he's gone to a lot of different pitch competitions, and so he kind of inspired me to do this.
Now, people probably thinking at home right now, I want to enter the Big Sell, but Troy Smith, he just wins every year. He wins first place, he wins second place, he might win third place. It's a little different this year because Troy, you got a different role this time around. What are you doing?
I'm going to be the judge. I'm going to be one of probably three judges.
One of the judges. That's
yes.
Now, how's that? How are you feeling with that? Because of course you've been in this competition presenting the judges. Now it's on the other foot where you are actually a judge. What's going through your mind?
Sure, it's exciting. It's just to be on a different side of the table. Just like with being a personal trainer. I train clients, but sometimes as a trainer, it's good to get trained to be on the other side of the table. And I'm sure anything, if like 1 million cups going what they hold here every twice a month or so, it's a beautiful thing not only to go and pitch for your own self to practice pitching, but when you see other people pitch, you get ideas and you learn. You get ideas. So I'm sure even judging, it'll be a fun experience. But I'm going to see 12 awesome contestants that have a great invention or idea where if I'm paying attention and looking for weaknesses or strengths to ask them certain questions, it'll just further my knowledge of things that maybe I can relate to the layman bench or another part of life.
Now, what has winning the Big Sell meant to you? The impact that it's had.
Impact, it's been, I have to tell you a story. It's great because you say, okay, Troy Smith, first place, second place. The first year I did it, I didn't place, and I was a little perturbed. I came home and I had my sport coat still on, and I had my mom take pictures of me outside going like this way and like this way, and I photoshopped. I Googled big checks, and I have a vision board.
Really?
Yeah, and I put on a vision board, and I want to think about how it'd feel. I'm going to win one of those checks, and now I've won 3 since then. So that was kind of, and some other things in my vision board have come into manifestation, so I thought, well, I better be careful what I put on my vision board. But it was definitely a sense of accomplishment because, it's something different. It's business. Competing, I've played baseball and different sports, but I've never done pitch competitions before. So anytime you win something, it's all the work that goes into it, preparing, making a good script, studying, practicing your pitch. That's just the icing on the cake when you actually win, and the big check doesn't hurt as well either.
How do you psych yourself up for this competition? Because I'm going to ask Scott, and I believe Emily's here as well. We'll ask them the same things. But
Sure.
For you personally, is it nerve-wracking? What do you do to kind of get in the gears, get all gears fired up? How do you get in tune with it all?
Sure. It's almost kind of like bodybuilding or any sport that you do. So bodybuilding, I've competed before and practicing the poses. Everything's about preparation. So if you're giving a speech or you're doing a pitch competition, if you really prepare and you're ready to go, that just helps. You'll be that much more confident. Yes, you may have butterflies the day of, but if you don't really prepare too much, good luck. You're going to have a lot harder time because you're not prepared. So for me, it was being prepared. I hired, I think she might be on the panel too, Jeannie Rapstead. She does comedic shows, and she's an awesome pitching coach for writing and speaking. And I hired her to sharpen up my skills and to get some great ideas that Jeannie helped me. It was instrumental getting second place and first place. So I think having the mindset that you're going to do the best that you can, do it, do the work and prepare. Then the day of, it's just a matter of, for me, sometimes I cough because I have like autoimmune, like my lungs will get tight. So drinking some hot water and humming and singing in the car, whatever song to get pumped up and getting whatever you have to do to get in the state to be clear, focused, and confident.
And of course, when you're doing that, it's maybe a little easier said than done. After it was all said and done, did you feel like, man, I did pretty good? Like, did you think you were going to win first place? Or you were like, man, I blew it. I can't believe I fumbled that so hard. What was going through your mind afterwards?
No, I felt I did well. I thought, the year I got second place, I felt I was going to play. Because the first year I did it, I didn't place. One judge says he had me at second, and I thought, so, and I know that from that first time competing, the second year I know I was a lot better. And so I wasn't surprised really that I placed second place. And then in first place, I didn't know. You just never know. It's subjective. There's humans, but I thought I would have placed. I felt really confident and good because I felt like I executed well.
Now, kind of give us an update. I know you were kind of doing it a little bit earlier. How far have you come since the Big Sell? What stage are you at right now with the bench?
About ready to launch. Excuse me. March 6th is the deadline, so I'm in contract with Revolution Fabrication out of Naperville, Illinois. They're fantastic. They already have we have 3 units made. We're putting the final touch on a counterbalance to make it that much smoother when it goes up and down the main platform. And they've already built out these huge jig tables for the swing arms. And, you have to use a big forklift to move them. So now we'll be ready to mass produce. So now I'm looking for the enclosed trailer, making a sales contract.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on all the luck. Now, Drew,
thank you.
We found out today kind of a big announcement. Troy's going to be one of the judges here for the Big Sell officially. You're in charge of finding the extra 2 judges, correct?
Yeah, along with some other of my peers.
Now, what do you look for within the judges? Is there is there a judging process for the judges?
I don't think so. This is my first time around, but of course, we're looking for someone that has that experience.
Okay.
Like for Troy, for example, he has that experience. He has been through multiple pitch competitions, so he can give good feedback to upcoming entrepreneurs. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, there you have it there. Hey, we're going to take a little break here. Maybe hear from the Big Sell right now if we get this fire loaded. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back with more 1 Million Cups right after this quick commercial break.
Purdue University Northwest is hosting the 10th anniversary of the PNW Big Sell, presented by NIPSCO on May 1st right here on WJOB. If you think you have a winning business idea or product invention, then create a 2-minute video about it and submit by April 2nd, 2021 for a chance to win cold hard cash. If you are selected as a top 12 finalist, you will present a 6-minute Shark Tank style pitch before 3 regional entrepreneurs. They will select the 3 best pitches and present $10,000 to the winner, $5,000 to the runner-up, and $2,500 to third place. To learn more about the event or apply, search the Purdue Northwest website for PNW Big Sell. To celebrate the Big Sell's 10th anniversary, we've made it free for everyone.
There you have it, 10 years of the Big Sell right there. Some big deals happening here at the CMEC building. Now, thank you guys. We're going to get back to you guys here in a second with the panel, but we also got some people zooming in as well. I know we got panel members here, but we also got a couple, well, lucky members of the past shows as well. We got Scott Macy, I believe, is there, and Emily Edwards. Emily, we'll start with you. Are you there, Emily?
I'm here.
All right, Emily, good. Let me put you in the speaker view right now. Emily, of course, thanks for joining us here today. Now, tell us a little bit about your past history with 1 Million Cups and the Big Sell.
Well, I actually presented to 1 Million Cups first, and that was a really, really great experience. That's where I met Mont and Lori. So that was the beginning of some really, really great relationships for me. And then I applied to the Big Sell the first time and didn't get in and really just felt defeated. And so I thought, this pitch stuff is not the easiest thing, even though I talk all the time, but, talking to your family or just people is really easy, but to get in front of an audience and then pitch your product and you're right in front of the judges and they're looking at you, you almost feel like I'm going to pass out any second. So So what I did is I started going to different shows. I went to pitch competitions. I started reading about it, watching them on YouTube, and just really, I spent some time with Jeannie. Jeannie is just wonderful with helping people, very calm, very reassuring of what you do know. She can point out your qualities while telling you these are your negatives, but you don't walk away feeling like she just tore what I had apart. So the second year that I pitched, I actually won second place. That was last year. So I walked away with $5,000.
Wow.
And the experience for me the second time, of course, it was virtual, but even still, you're nervous. And so what I do, I try not to focus about it. You know, I know what I know, and I'm done with that. So I go in, I know my product. And so I just talk about my product. I talk about the attributes of it and how wonderful it is and why I think I should win this money and what I'm going to do with it and where I want my product to go.
Now, I'm thinking about, Emily, I wish I could remember the name of your product. If there was only a background that you had on Zoom. Oh, wait a sec. You got a pretty cool background there.
Yeah.
The pitch is right there.
Paradise icing.
Yes. Now, tell us a little bit. I know, not to put you in the hot spot once again, as I told Troy, this is not a pitch. You're not going to be judged, but tell the folks at home a little about the product.
Paradise icing is a sweet plant-based icing that contains pea protein. It's free of all the 8 allergens, does not require refrigeration. It's shelf-stable for 12 months. We have 2 flavors, chocolate and caramel sea salt vanilla. So we have the 8-ounce jars, which is what you see on that side of me. And then you see right in front of me above Paradise icing is Paradise snack packs. And that's a 2-ounce snack pack, better for you, on the go, with grain-free pretzels on one side and our delicious Paradise icing on the other side. So it's perfect for the millennial mother that's looking for a quick snack, or even the athlete, Troy, that's looking for that quick snack and wants some plant protein to help them feel full and to help out in between meals.
There might be a collaboration here, I'm sensing.
I see that. Yes.
Very possible. You know, Troy's got the muscles, and I need someone to flex the muscles and take a dip into paradise.
There we go.
I don't think any of you guys want me as a spokesperson for your products. It's a work in progress. Although I probably need that bench, and I probably need some of that food right there. But we'll talk about it after the show. Emily, you mentioned the first time around you weren't as successful as you wanted to be. How'd you and we might want to talk to Jeannie here in a second, but how'd you keep up the momentum as far as keeping the spirits high? Hey, let me try this again. I don't want to give up just yet. How do you get to that point?
You know, as an entrepreneur, you have those highs and lows. And so every time you try for something and you don't get it, then you get that feeling of I failed. It's hard. And so having people, honestly, like 1 Million Cups, you know, Mont, Lori, Jeannie, all of those in your corner telling you, don't stop, you know, keep going. Even though you can't see what's around the corner, the encouragement helps. And so what I did, I had to go have my pity party. Then I had to tear up my invitations to invite people to my pity party and realize that, hey, this is no big deal. You're just one of many entrepreneurs that enter a pitch competition and get a no. So I started looking at what did I do wrong and what did I do right and what could I improve on. And so that's what motivated me to keep going. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, I'm just not that failure and I'm not going to give up. And so I didn't win that time, but let me come back again. So that's kind of my motto, that if I get a no today, I'll try again tomorrow, because there's always door number 2 that I didn't go behind the day before.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get discouraged the first time around. It doesn't work out for them. Like, you know what? Well, I tried once. It was enough for me. But if you fail on the first time, it's the old saying, Emily, if you fall off a horse, or is it fall off a bike? What is it? You got to get back on the horse, or you got to get back on the bike. It's like riding a bicycle, riding a horse. They get it, what I'm saying out there. But it's kind of like that. That makes sense to you.
So.
Okay, good. So, Emily, how has 1 Million Cups and the Big Sell and all that good stuff, how has that kind of shaped who you are today as far as your confidence levels and the experience now? You're probably riding high on those first couple of experiences there.
1 Million Cups and helps you look at your product as a whole and not focus so much on yourself. So you get to pitch your product and you get feedback. It's really not a pitch. It's more, to me, it was more like constructive criticism. This is what's wrong. This is what's right. Have you tried this? Have you done this? So it makes you look at things differently. And I think all of us that are entrepreneurs can say this, that in the beginning, we are so connected to the product that we can't always take what people say in a constructive way. And so 1 Million Cups makes you think about looking at it from a customer perspective and rather than looking at it yourself, because you're not going to buy your own product. You may love the product, but you're not your customer. So you have to start looking at it from a business perspective. And those are some of the things that 1 Million Cups offers you, because it's someone that's looking at it through the eyes of a consumer and not so much as you looking at it yourself. The Big Sell, it makes you, if you don't like public speaking or you're not good in front of people, then what you have to learn to do is that, because you are the brand. And so wherever you go, you have to have that brand. You know, somebody asks you a question, you need to be able to answer it. You know, what are your numbers? You know, what are your cost of goods? Where are you going? Where are you? So you need to be able to answer those questions as if you were brushing your teeth. And so those are the things that I take away from that knowing this and not being able, not shying away from it and being confident in your product. Because if you don't believe in it, no one else is going to believe in it. So no matter what comes throughout the day or the week, you got to know what you know and you just got to believe in it. You know, you got to eat, live, and sleep that product.
When it comes to the judges there, Emily, how does one keep their composure? Say one of the judges says, hey, they might not be so mean to say it like this, but, you know, criticism about your product that you like kind of take to heart, like, what are they saying? It's a perfect product. How do you handle something like that, judge criticism? Do you lash out back at them, or you keep cool, keep your composure, and just rebuild upon it?
You got to stay calm under pressure, because if you can't handle the criticism, then how can you handle anything else?
Of course.
So that's kind of my motto. Yeah, it does hurt. You may have to go in the bathroom and scream and cry about it, but you got to keep your composure. I remember the first year, the judges was literally sitting in front of me eating my product. And when I got through talking, you know, some of the things they said I did not like, but I had to keep smiling and just say, okay. And, you know, later on, I was able to cry about it and think, oh, wow, they didn't really like it. But you have to really, really think about it. And I think for me, being a former social worker, is you got to do some reflective listening. You got to listen to what they're saying, internalize it, process it, take what they say at and use it to your advantage, because they're telling you to do something. The question becomes, what do you do with what they told you? You take it and go run and say, I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Yeah.
Or do you take it? It's like a building block. Do you build off of that?
Before we get to Scott here, I want to bring in Jeannie, because she's been mentioned a couple times here already in the program. It seems like the key to success here is to talk to Jeannie. Jeannie, what do you do to these competitors that want to move to the next level? It seems like you have a trick for them up your sleeves. What's the secret of being a good competitor out there in the creation world?
I think I'd like to thank Emily and Troy first off for the kind words. I really appreciate that. It was a pleasure to work with both of them, and I was delighted actually last year when Emily took second and Troy took first. That really was great. The most important thing that I have to instill in the minds of brand new speakers is that they have to practice. You know, sometimes people think, oh, no, I just want to focus on my business. I'll worry about the talking part later. And I contend that they are things that have to happen simultaneously. You develop your product and you develop your ability to pitch the product. You know, and as Guy Kawasaki said, entrepreneurs are always pitching. So we have to learn how to do that well. And so the first hurdle that we overcome when we begin to put ourselves out there as speakers is we have to shut off the internal noise. And the internal noise that says, oh, I'm not good at this. I don't really like speaking. I wish they'd just, give me the money without me having to talk about it. And we have to change that internal dialogue to, I'm getting better all the time. If I keep practicing, I'll grow. This is really coming together for me. I'm getting good feedback. I was much better than I was last time. So we changed the internal dialogue, and that really does we have a little paradigm shift, and we begin to see success. Success is coming my way. And so I really try to focus on that when I'm coaching people, is that, first of all, let's build your confidence by successful practices every time. And I try to really point out what they do well, because that's also confidence building. And then if we need to address a weakness, then let's address it head on.
A couple good tips there, because I know people have to send in a video to get to the next level where you're actually in person or on Zoom getting judged. So some good tips there, Jeannie. I appreciate that very much. Somebody that probably followed some of those tips was Scott Macy. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Looks like I'm in great company.
How's it going, Scott? Again, Zoom backgrounds are a big thing these days. What's your background right there? What am I looking at, Scott?
Yeah, so we actually just recently won a National Science Foundation SBIR grant, and this is one of our growth chambers. So in these experimental chambers, we can isolate certain environmental conditions, and then inside of our grow pods, which is the hydroponic appliance that we sell to consumers, we can do isolated control variable experimentation. And so what we're studying is how various wavelengths or colors of light can affect crop yields, taste, flavor, all the variables you would associate and expectations you put on same high quality produce you might otherwise find at a farmer's market.
Oh man, it sounds like a lot of science going on here, Scott. Yeah. Let's take people back a step here. What was your product?
Yeah, so it's behind me. It's the GrowPod Smart Garden Appliance. We provide consumers with a machine that's essentially an automated greenhouse to have inside your home in the form of an appliance. It has the lighting, the irrigation, the HVAC, everything you'll need, no secondary systems required to grow vegetables. And our business model could be described as Keurig for food. We provide seed cartridges, which are much like coffee pods, on a recurring monthly subscription that's mailed directly to the individual. And from that, they're able to get daily yields of pure produce in the convenience of their own home.
Man, where does something like this come from? Are you asleep one night and wake up in a cold sweat? Man, I got this great idea. Or has this been something that was building up over time?
I think it'd been a little bit of building over time, but it really came down to a fundamental experience I had. In 2016, I was still studying mechanical engineering technology at Purdue University, West Lafayette, and I was really fortunate to be selected to work in a NASA-funded research study under Dr. Kerry Mitchell. At the time, they're looking for a mechanical engineer with some fluency in fluid dynamics, which is a skill set I had. And having worked on that study, I fell in love with hydroponics, became aware of its unlimited benefits, but also how stressed our current agricultural supply chain is. And that's when I, as a student, realized, okay, vertical farming, this seems like the future of agriculture. How does a 21-year-old take a piece of that? Do I compete with the large-scale vertical farms that already exist to quite an extent? Or do I create a new category of appliances that was just on the cusp of existence and lead this new category? And I realized that by creating this kind of uncertain but undefined category as a student, there is a lot more potential as a young founder to get opportunities and funding to endorse that idea. PNW being one.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Of course, you had some good luck here with the Big Sell. And did you present at 1 Million Cups too, Scott?
No, I actually have not participated in that, but the PNW Big Sell has been a great experience for us, and I would say the best thing that ever happened was not winning. The first year in it, I got second place to very talented founders, and most importantly, I asked them, how did you win? Can I learn from your presentation, your feedback style? How are you answering the judges to these questions? Because once you practice enough, and Jeannie did a great job stating this, you'll find that the questions that you're going to be asked are going to be very repetitive. So long as you're doing it often enough, you're not going to get out of the ballpark questions, and you can learn responses to them. In law, they would call that kind of leading questions, as you kind of set up an individual to ask something that you might have a pre-planned response for. But then the second year I came back, I actually was really fortunate, took all that feedback, and we got first place. And to be honest, that worked out better than it could have if you just won it, because then we got the second place prize and the first place prize. And then the third year I actually got to come back and judge it, which was an even more interesting experience, because I've always been on the pitching side, never that of the actual judge.
So well, this is a good time
really
to bring
full circle.
This is a good time to bring it up here. Scott, any advice for Troy? Because he's going to do the same thing as you now this year. He's going to be a judge after winning second place and first place. Any advice for Troy as he goes into this new adventure?
I think I'm biased because I've always kind of prioritized being a direct-to-consumer company, because you get better margins and you cut out middlemen that I find kind of unnecessary. And I think Troy's layman bitch had a great and very compelling pitch early on, because he was direct-to-consumer, or at least in kind of his trials that he was showing, and he himself was a trainer. So he could instantly speak to the potential users, and he took charge as a founder of his own supply chain to get that product market fit. Look for individuals that do not have some defined milestone of finding like a distributor and have that be a prevention of them to exceed in their business model. The ones who are really successful, in my opinion, are the ones who find consumers on their own and just charge directly at it. So anyone who has that traction, maybe it's even one trial, maybe one thing they've built in the garage, maybe it's this Fred Flintstone market conceptual prototype, that on its own speaks volumes about the founder's commitment. So look for those who are already moving into the market.
You hear that, Troy?
I hear it loud and clear. Yep, thanks, Scott.
All right, there we go. I just spit little tips for him right here today. Now, you mentioned the first year around, Scott, you were actually second place. Then you came back for first place, improved upon the first time. Was there any fear there that you're like, okay, I won second place. I should just take that was enough luck for me. I'm just going to continue on with my journey. Was there fear there? Boy, what if I don't place any time, first, second, or third place this time? Like, what's that going to feel like? Was there any fear there going back into the competition, although you did improve it, that maybe it wouldn't be as well received the second time around?
You know, I think fear is always going to be there. It's a natural feeling, and it's a sign that you care about what you do. So you should have some degree of fear in you. That's healthy. But, you know, bravery and confidence is saying, no, I'm going to proceed despite the risk and in face of that challenge. I think whenever young founders ask me similar questions like that, I can tell them, I can guarantee you will be a failure if you hide inside all day. Okay. And you never show your idea the light of day. So you need to accept the risk and move forward. And people are going to figure out who you are, right? That's also another unavoidable fact of life. And so with that's going to come expectations that if you give a presentation and you're giving the exact same presentation the next year that got second place the year before, I mean, you'll be lucky if you're in place, to be honest. So let that be your motivation, constantly improve upon your design and actually take their feedback and put an actionable plan in place to make sure that you can walk in next year and say, hey, I lost last year and I learned from that feedback and here's what I've changed in that amount of time. I would even argue that's a bit of an advantage. Really? Because when you're limited, I'm not sure the time limit this year, could be 3, maybe 5 minutes, but you don't have any time to waste. You don't have time to, you know, kick the horse here and, you know, kind of just go over the same business concept. This is now your opportunity to cut to what's important and show them the measurable progress that you have.
Of course. Now, any tips out there for people entering this? I know you kind of hinted at it. Something like, oh, man, well, you know, what do I do? I got the nerves. I got the jitters. You said a little fear is good, but how can some people remain calm under that pressure and the hot spotlight of those judges?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I'd say I'm an introverted person, so public speaking was never natural to me. It took a lot of practice to really get comfortable with it. But the big difference I've noticed at the end of the day is that an average speaker talks at their audience. You're regurgitating a memorized speech, and you're not responding to body language and stimulus that they're giving you. A great speaker talks to the audience. You treat it like a conversation. You wait for them to nod. You listen to their body language. Sometimes people freeze. They might give you a kind of constrained look if they don't understand it, meaning you need to repeat what you just said. Read that emotion in the room, and you will have a very receptive presentation overall. And don't focus on giant market figure numbers, 40 billion serviceable market. Focus on the categorical level of disruption. Find an analogy, something of a technology evolution that's already happened, and say that you're going to be, you know, in our case, we say we're the refrigerator of growing food, whereas we used to harvest ice from rivers. Now you can grow the food in the chamber just the same way it freezes ice and gives it to you on demand. Make that comparison, and it will become infinitely more, I think, understandable for the audience and the judges, because oftentimes the financial assumptions that they will make based off that analogy will be far greater than what you could have ever put on paper and presented to them.
Now, it looks like you're moved pretty far along with the whole idea there. What stage are you at in the game now? I mean, this thing looks like it's pretty advanced if I'm seeing that behind you there.
Yeah, well, you know, we, again, are fortunate to have the support of PNW from this Big Sell competition, but 3 years ago I was building prototypes in a garage, and now we have a dedicated factory. We're producing it by the shipping container load, getting a lot of demand. People are very dissatisfied with the produce experience because of COVID, and rightfully so, and they're looking for solutions. So we're scaling up now.
And it's good that, I know Mott's saying, you know, if you win the prize money, first, second, third, it's really up to you what you want to do with that money. It's good to see people putting the money back into the creation as opposed to, as he might have said before, getting a jacuzzi or whatnot. So it's good to see you're putting the money to good use there, Scott.
Thank you.
Now, you bet he was also saying 6-minute presentations, so you got 6 minutes to present in front of the judges. How tough is to practice that, Scott, as far as getting that down pat where you find yourself going over the time limit a lot, or not meeting that time limit's expectations? Because comes down to science too there.
Yeah, so I would say first and foremost, just get the pitch down, right? And if you got to go into a room, you got to dress up a little bit, put PowerPoint on, do a dress rehearsal, if you will. Just get through the pitch. Don't worry about the time. Make sure you understand the content, because you can't explain anything complicated until you can explain it simply to the layman audience. Once you understand what this is, and I mean it's second language to you, you're using it in your just everyday conversation with people, then focus on the time. Set a timer on your phone and go through it. And you might mess up that first slide, a few words. Don't restart. Go through. Figure out where you are, time limit. You're 30 seconds over, find the fat, cut the fat, and then focus on the core content that you want. If you try and focus on getting in a time limit where you have the content memorized, it's going to be very difficult, and you're going to miss out on some key points that might be crucial for the judge to really understand your business idea.
Good tips right there. Now, I got one last question before we take it to the panel here in just a second, but before you make it to the actual the final 12, you got to submit a 2-minute video. What should be in that 2-minute video that gets people to notice and takes you to the next level?
You know, I would say Steve Jobs has this 10, 20, 30 slide rule kind of deck. That's going to be difficult to fit into 2 minutes, but I think you can condense and concentrate some of those things like your title, your team, your kind of partners, if you're even at that point in the business. But I think focus on that kind of 10-slide rule, and there's lots of documentation online, and then condense that down to 2 minutes. Don't focus too much on just the base aesthetics of the presentation. I think I literally filmed it in a garage. Like there's much to be desired from an aesthetic perspective, but we showed prototypes, we showed measurable progress, and focusing on that's what's going to really distinguish your presentation between conceptual ideas.
Perfect. Before we take it to the panel, if you're interested in watching the show right now, listening to the show right now on AM 1230, 104.7 FM, you will be like, boy, I want to talk about my invention on 1 Million Cups. Of course, 1 Million Cups gets your idea out there to the public, and then in turn, you could do the Big Sell, or you could just go right to the Big Sell if you want. But this show right here, 1 Million Cups, for a little more detail on it, we're going to hear a spot right now. So sit tight. We'll be right back here. WJLB AM 1230.
1 Million Cups is based on the notion that entrepreneurs network, discover solutions, and secure new business over 1 million cups of coffee. The free weekly gathering helps build startup communities on a grassroots level, and 1 Million Cups Northwest Indiana has been doing just that since 2016. Entrepreneurs, innovators, funders, and other interested community members are invited to attend each Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at one of multiple locations across Northwest Indiana, or on Zoom until lockdowns are lifted. Or listen here on WJOB. Every Wednesday morning in hundreds of chapters around the country, early-stage startups present their companies to an audience of mentors, advisors, and other entrepreneurs. If you are a founder and want to present your business to the community in 6 minutes, then search for the number 1 Million Cups Northwest Indiana and apply today.
There you have it. Now, Drew, I know you said earlier you got a lot of work out with shaping up the Big Sell, but you also said you had some ideas in mind. Maybe the Big Sell we'll see here in the future.
Maybe. I'm debating about that still a little bit too nervous.
Okay. Well, I'm sure these guys could help you out too with the nerves. They seem like they have a lot of knowledge on their side here. I want to throw it to the panel here because they have questions, of course, every episode. So let's see who we got on deck here. Panel, any questions for what we saw here today? Let's throw it to them. Let's see what we got going on. I know we got a few people still hanging around here. Let's see. Any questions for Emily, Troy? Oh, hey, Mont.
I am. This is like the first time I've been at a 1 Million Cups in like the 5 years that we've hosted, that I don't feel I can add anything to the conversation. I mean, everyone's just done such a great job, from Drew to Scott to Emily to Troy. I mean, Tony, you've done a fantastic job. You should take over 1 Million Cups on a regular basis.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think I'll be back here in 2 weeks unless they get somebody else to – they kick me out and get somebody else. But it's been an honor. I learned a lot as well. You know me, Mont. I have a couple ideas up here. None of them good, but I have a couple ideas up here. Maybe in the future I might have to do something. Can I host and present?
Definitely bring AJ into the conversation because, I mean, Drew is a great reflection on what AJ's doing with these students every day.
Is he on here?
That's kind.
Gianni,
Thanks, Mont.
hey, Adrian.
I'll just share a little bit. Drew was talking about her Entrepreneurship 401, and I'm faculty in the College of Business, and I teach Entrepreneurship 401. And a few years ago, Mont and I connected and decided, you know what? This social entrepreneurship class, these are upperclassmen. They're almost done with school. Let's give them something to do that they can put on a resume to show what they did right before graduation, right? So Drew's the classic example of that today. She spent time this morning with us, put this all together, and now she has an item on her reel to say, look, I've done this type of work in college. She's meeting entrepreneurs, also meeting the folks who we don't select as the final 12. They're learning about the pitch process. They're learning about business plan processing. They're doing marketing work, they're doing public speaking work, they're doing operations and event work, and all of that is part and parcel of the experiential components that we try really hard as faculty to give to our students in the classroom, whether that's in person or virtually. That experiential component that they can take something upon graduation and point back to it and say, I did this thing, here it is. We think that's really important. And so we have all of our students in Entrepreneurship 401. They each take different tasks. They each either build upon what happened in previous years, or sometimes they decide, no, we're going to go in a different direction. One of our students last week came back to us and said, you know what? We've never done a YouTube channel before. Let's do that and then track back end data and footprints on who comes to our YouTube channel. And we said, great, what do you need from us to help you do that? So I have a student then who's able to learn how to do that, has the support to do it, and can kind of figure it out themselves by building upon what we've done historically or changing the game and the nature of this competition. So we have a fantastic time doing it. It's a ton of fun. It's great to have upperclassmen who are almost done with business school, so they know enough to be dangerous and can execute really well.
How about Drew? High praise there. High praise indeed. And I think we're doing a little commercial spot afterwards too as well. So
Yes.
more to put on your highlight reel there, Drew.
Yes.
So she should be very proud. Anybody else before we wrap things up here today for 1 Million Cups? Anybody else want to talk? If not, we'll close things out, but want to give the floor to the panel just in case. Any final words?
Tony, I just wanted to mention that Emily had a great conversation with an investor in the last few days. And one of the things that she doesn't mention about Paradise Icing is her product is in a category that has raised $16 billion from private investors.
Wow.
In the last year.
$16 billion?
1.5 in the last year. So she has a great opportunity, and I hope to see her back at the Big Sell this year.
Emily, congrats on that.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. Now, do you find yourself, though, as an entrepreneur, like you want to stay humble, of course. You don't want to, is that it? You don't want to gloat maybe some of the high points? You want to stay humble to yourself and maybe not get that information out there?
Honestly, sometimes I think that there's so much in my head that I actually forget to mention things that's going on with me, because sometimes I feel like I'm on this merry-go-round, and every time I stop, I pick up something else. And so, but no, I'm very grateful. I've been in conversations talking to this investor since last year, and actually I met him in December, virtually met him in December, and he told me to call him back in January, and I literally forgot about it. And he reached out to me, and then he started, the first couple of questions were easy to answer. And then I'd answer those, and he'd send me something else back. And so the last questions he sent me, I could answer. It was like 7 questions. And I could answer 5, 6 of the questions, but I couldn't answer the 7th one. So I reached out to Mont for help. And he gave me some research. And so I've been researching that and trying to figure out exactly how I want to say it. I think for me, talking to an investor, as I had said to Mont, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to run the investor off. And so one of the things Mont said is that you just have to say what you need to say. Don't be afraid. You say it. If that investor is meant for you, fine. If not, then you move on. But I look at it like, even if it doesn't work out, it's an experience. And so the next time I talk to an investor, I've got some tools that I didn't have before.
There you have it. Emily, thanks for coming on today. Scott, any final words for the audience?
No, I think Emily hit it right on the head. Not every investor is for every venture. You got to find the one that fits you, specifically you, and then your business after. But those people exist, and they're oftentimes hungry and looking for young entrepreneurs to fund. The returns you can get on a private startup investment can far exceed that of any public market investment. And if you find the right individual, I'd argue that the risk is, comparable to what you find. So by all means, if you think you have an idea and you're a young person, it's opportunities like this that can make that a reality. So do it.
Scott, thanks for joining us. Troy, any final words there for the home audience?
Yeah, I guess if you're like Scott and everybody was saying, if you have an idea or an invention or a business and you're sitting there thinking about it, nothing's ever going to happen unless you take action. And what do you have to lose? It could be a learning experience, a lot of fun. And hey, if you make a successful business, then even that much better. So maybe reach out to 1 Million Cups and come to one or watch one right now in the pandemic. It's on Zoom. And then maybe participate and pitch. There's resources here to help. I mean, I've got help with paying for my utility patent. Take some action and don't forget to eat your protein and to do your squats today.
There you go. Always pitching at the end of the day, always pitching. Well, like I said earlier in the show, I remember you coming in here the first time around. Your bench was made out of wood. I was like, this is ridiculous. So he's bringing a bench made out of wood, and look at you. You win second place, you win first place, and now the sky's the limit here.
Yep, and I still use that bench still today in my gym. I train clients with that one. So that conceptual prototype, the Fred Flintstone version, it actually works well. So
it's gonna be worth money someday.
Yeah, that's what mine says.
That specific wood.
I put some Thompson water seal on there, and he said it's gonna be in your office someday, so I'll preserve it. But yeah, I can't sell wooden ones to gyms, so we have to.
No, although that'd be fun to go to a wooden bench on a gym, but yeah. I guess that's a little old school. Drew, any final words for the audience?
I hope that everyone got a lot of information about the Big Sell, and I hope that all the speakers encourage young entrepreneurs to submit their pitch.
And I will be posting links to the Big Sell and 1 Million Cups as well once this video ends on Facebook attached to this video. So if you're curious, check back here in a few seconds and you can click those links to see how you can get involved with 1 Million Cups or the Big Sell. Guys, thank you once again for joining me here today. Big hand for everybody. Big hand for everybody.
Thank you.
All right, there we go. Let's all congratulate ourselves. Pano, thanks for joining me once again. We'll be back here in 2 weeks for another thrilling episode of 1 Million Cups right here on WJLB AM 1230, 104.7 FM, also on JEDTV.com, Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, and your JED TV app, as well as Facebook Live. So stick around. More fine programming on the way. Take care, everybody.